Houston Texans have the most draft capital out of any team this year. They got a couple of first-round draft picks. So where are their needs?
Well, I mean,
everywhere.
I think there's a real obvious one, and it's the guy who snaps the football.
We need everything except for a left tackle, a running back, and a corner, and a safety. I got four positions checked off.
I mean, you have more checked off than that. I think you're being a little
hyperbolic,
a little doom and gloom.
Mm-hmm.
You did get Laramie Tunsil done, so I mean, left tackle is one of the most important positions in this league, especially if you have a young quarterback. So there's certainly a positive that you got that done. I feel like you have made additions to the receiver room. I'm just not overly wild about them. I mean, Robert Woods, yay, and that's a thing.
This is more of putting Flex Seal on the bottom of the screen door.
Well, I mean, and that's why, to me, your second biggest need is a legit weapon for your quarterback.
Yes.
I feel like Dalton Schultz can be a number one target, especially in an offense that I kind of know how it's going to run. You've got a lot of 49er disciples here, so this is going to look very Kyle Shanahan-y. And Dalton Schultz can play that George Kittle role. Now you need a legitimate number one receiver. And for me, that guy is no doubt Quentin Johnston. That's the need. I hate to phrase Brian Haynes here, but this is the first need that you needed. You're getting one of the two quarterbacks because you're picking at two. So who are you going to put around him? And every time I do this, every mock draft we've done where Quentin Johnston goes at 12, somebody has something to say about it, and I don't get it. I don't get it. It doesn't make any sense to me. I don't see how you could possibly have any other receiver in this class ahead of him.
Because maybe he's not a big enough name. Maybe they didn't watch TCU football. And the last receiver to come out of TCU, they look at and go, oh, that was who? Jalen Reagor? Yeah, I'll pass.
Well,
because fans are lazy and they do stuff like that. You know that.
Yeah. But for me, it's more that he didn't show up in the biggest game. Well, it was TCU and Georgia, okay?
Right.
He didn't have much of a shot in that game because there was nobody else that scared you. So they just locked him down. And I think a marriage of Bryce Young and Quentin Johnston is destined to be really, really good for the Houston Texans. Then you look at what they do moving forward from there. All right, this is the team with the most draft capital in the NFL. So, I mean, you've got a series of picks. It's not just what are you going to do in the first round. And I have a funny feeling that my Bucky's partner over here can probably tell you the name I'm getting ready to say because I think I've said it about 1,100 times. That pick at 33, when they come up in the second round, I'm not telling you this is their biggest need. What did the San Francisco 49ers do just ridiculously well? Other than get after the quarterback. It's not the secondary. And I could argue the Houston Texans have more talent in their secondary right now than the San Francisco 49ers did.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm not telling you I definitively believe that, but I could make the argument, and it would be at the very least coherent. And with the fact that you added Jimmy Ward, which should surprise no one, Jimmy Ward, Jalen Petrie, Derek Stingley, I feel like you're okay in the secondary.
Mm-hmm.
But there's one thing that, to me, you're just completely missing. And I love that you signed Denzel Perryman and Corey Littleton. That's two lovely retribution projects that are, yeah, maybe this will work. You need a signal caller. You need that Fred Warner type of guy. And I think it's Trenton Simpson. And maybe I'm being lazy because when I watch him, I see D'Amico Ryans. That's the player I see on film. And everybody said, well, he wasn't that good last year. Name me the Clemson Tiger defender that was as good last year as he was the year before.
Right.
When you lose Brent Venables, it's kind of hard for that defense to look as good as it did previously. And I almost feel like we've gotten to a point where we're punishing every Clemson player. Do you see the same thing?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not high on Miles Murphy at all. But now I'm seeing him in the middle of the second round, which is, okay, we've gone too far.
Mm-hmm.
We've gone too far this way.
Mm-hmm.
I had Trenton Simpson in the top 20 for months. Now I get pushback when I take him at 33 to the Texans. That doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. I also wouldn't mind Miles Murphy, just since we're talking about Clemson players.
Look, the further you get removed from successful seasons, the less your opinion's going to be of these guys. And so you look at Clemson had a down year last year, was not the national title contender that everybody expected them to be. That defense was, not what it was supposed to be. And everybody downgrades these guys. Brian Brise, and they just all get lumped into it.
That's a whole different story to me. Brise had some health issues. He had a sister pass away. I mean, there were a lot of layers to Brian Brise, and there's just not the depth of the film. With Trenton Simpson, there's no lack of film of him being really good. It's just a good bit of it was not last year.
Mm-hmm.
And there were times he looked a little out of position. In college, I can put that as much on the coordinator as I can on the player.
Absolutely.
And so, I mean, you're not going to fix this pass rush in a year. And that's where I think people gristle is, well, there's pass rushers and Felix Anudike-Uzomah that'll be there. Maybe Will McDonald, Miles Murphy, who is a guy that I've considered with their 3-round mock draft that'll be out later in the week. You're not fixing that pass rush right now. I mean, I get that you have Jerry Hughes and Sheldon Rankins. That's adorable. And Sheldon Rankins played for my team. And it's going to help. But you're not going to be a phenomenal pass rushing team this year. I mean, am I wrong on that?
No, I don't think
There's
so.
not a player you're taking here. I don't care if you take them at 2, 12, or 33 that's going to fix this.
Mm-mm.
What I want to do is lay foundation pieces. And I feel like Trenton Simpson can be the middle of this defense for a long, long time. And I think that's one of their bigger needs. Because you got Pearman on a short-term deal, Littleton on a short-term deal. And San Francisco's defenses with D'Amico Ryans were always predicated on being really, really good at linebacker. And I'm seeing what could be I'm not going to say a wish version of that because I think it's better than that.
Mm-hmm.
But it could be a San Francisco light going into next year with these 3 guys. And now I've got the back 7 fixed. Next year, I mean, let's be really honest, you're going to have some bumps in the road with Bryce Young as your quarterback. Rookie year. Not a great set of receivers. There's going to be some bumps in the road.
Mm-hmm.
But if I can say my back 7 is completely done, I am good with what I have there. Is there not a merit to that?
Sure.
And I'll deal with the pass rush next year?
Absolutely. You can't build everything.
No,
Rome
you
wasn't
can't
built
fix
in a day. They say that for a reason.
Look, there were 2 teams coming to this offseason that I looked at and said, you have more problems than you could possibly have draft picks that can fix them in 1 year. Chicago Bears, Houston Texans. Well, Chicago had $1 bajillion to spend in free agency. So they threw some, I'll be nice and say Band-Aids on it. The talent got better. And now they can just take long-term building blocks. Why can Houston not do the exact same thing?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to be good this year. There's no path this team wins more than 6 or 7 games next year, and I think even then I'm being nice. And so I go in with the intention I'm getting my quarterback at 2. I'm going to get him a weapon at 12 to give him another legitimate A weapon, which I think Quentin Johnston can be. And then I'm going to go get that signal caller and A+. Everything I do from there, best player available.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you can find some linemen, great. I'm going to tell you, this is not the greatest lineman draft that you've ever seen outside of the first 33 picks.
Defensive tackles, maybe add to the interior of that defensive line.
See, and that's where I'm at is, all right, so you sign Sheldon Rankins. I'm going to take a developmental tackle that can learn from a guy that's been in the league for a long time. Because I can tell you he was great with that last year with the Jets. Everything I've heard is he was great to be in the room. So if you're going to do this, which I've just railed on Houston for doing for years, of you bring in the veteran that will accept your money. All right, you've done that again. But these are at least veterans in large part that either know the system, really fit into the system, and the reputation of a lot of them is that they're really good in the room. So bring in the young guys, take some shots. If you do the first 3 things I said, you've had an A+ draft. Is it necessarily going to work? No. A+ drafts lead to busts all the time. But I feel like you've done the best thing for your franchise. And then you go down the rabbit hole as you continue picking in later rounds because they have 9 more picks past that.
Mm-hmm.
You got 2 in the 3rd, 1 in the 4th, 3 in the 6th, and 2 in the 7th. So you can take a lot of flyers here. And this is a deep draft. It just doesn't have the high-end, marquee players.
Right.
You got 6 picks in the top 104.
I mean, I could see them, loading up on weapons as well. With those 5th, 6th, 7th round picks, trying to find some diamonds in the rough.
See, with those, I'm going to take shots on the line.
Sure.
I'm going to take shots on the offensive line, the defensive line. Receiver, it gets thin. I took Quentin Johnston. I probably wouldn't take another one the entire draft.
Really?
Because I don't see a lot of guys that I see high-end potential on the backside.
Not even like kick returners or anything like that.
I need players that in those first 2 days, I need players that are going to play right now. So for me, I'm going quarterback, wide receiver, linebacker. Then I'll take a shot on an edge because there are some guys that maybe they need to be developed. Like I got Jerry Hughes.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I got Jerry Hughes on this roster right now. I'm not necessarily going to put the full onus of being the star pass rusher on you, but if I hit one, then my A+ became an A++. And that's how I'm going to do that. Other needs I think they have, I just want to add to the lines. That's once I get the things I've already outlined, I want to take as many dart throws at the offensive defensive line as I can and try to build this team in the model of the San Francisco 49ers because you hit a home run with the coach. Now you just need more talent.
You're in the Sportsocracy, and this is ESPN Asheville. We're going to be doing each and every team draft needs throughout the coming programs here on ESPN Asheville. In the 4 o'clock hour, we'll be doing the Seattle Seahawks and then the Detroit Lions. Those are the 3 teams, including the Texans, that have the most draft capital in this draft class. Then tomorrow, we'll come back and do the reverse of that, do the 3 with the least amount of capital, and then we'll keep switching back and forth, going top to bottom, until we meet in the middle before the NFL draft. This is the Sportsocracy. This is ESPN Asheville.